for real. You know that we sliding, but we gon' slide. You know we gon' seek the kill. What? That boy deceased for real. Let it be cool. You not on that block. You not in the streets.
What is indeed going on, people, and welcome back to the post game show for the Chicago Bears versus the Detroit Lions on this special edition Thanksgiving matchup. Before we start the official post game show, just remember to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. And also, just if you are a returning subscriber, just make sure to hit that like button and also share the video. So the Chicago Bears have found a way to basically get the victory over the Detroit Lions. They did allow a first quarter touchdown. They did allow a third quarter touchdown, but the defense was able to basically shut them down and keep them from being on top. And the Bears was able to possess the football majority of the fourth quarter, and that led to them finally kicking a game-winning field goal at the last second, literally with 1 second left. So the Bears officially end their 5-game losing streak and extends the Lions' losing streak to 15 games. And on top of that, Andy Dalton found a way to basically throw for over 300 yards, but still the offense not be as cognate as it, well, basically just being incompetent overall is the reason why they still was only able to put up 16 points, only 3 points in the second half after scoring 13 in the second. Yeah, that was a good win for CG. I'm happy that the Bears was able to get the win. But as usual, I'm still not happy with the way they won. They scored less points in this game than they did in the previous game, but they did at least hold the Detroit Lions to 14 points in this game, much like they did in the first matchup in Chicago. So I am happy that the defense was able to come to life and at least do that much. Hey, the offense struggling in the play calling control by Matt Nagy literally cost us the game. Exactly. Now, play clock control, yeah, but they was able to possess the football a lot longer. That's been the thing that have been going on all game. The Bears knew already that they can't really find points on a consistent basis, so they know already that they had to go straight ahead and hold the football as long as possible. And they was able to do that and kill that clock destroyed the clock for the Detroit Lions. Never got the ball back after they got the ball back and literally just drove down the field, killed the clock. Detroit had multiple opportunities to get the ball back. It was multiple third downs that the Bears was able to convert late in the game, and that's what saved them. Because if it wasn't for those third down conversions and also Detroit just being Detroit, calling 2 consecutive timeouts to cause the Bears to inch up just that much closer to kill that much more time off the clock is what saved them. It should have been another TD and switch up the ground game to get into the red zone. Yeah, matter of fact, the Bears should have actually won this game at least 23-14. It should have been almost an identical score like it was the first time matchup. But of course, Andy Dalton threw that costly interception into the end zone. Of not airing it out far enough, putting him on a tight rope instead of putting a little bit more loft on the ball, allowing Demir Bird to be able to catch it, because we know that he is a speedy receiver, not a big receiver. So when you got guys that got that much type of elusiveness and that much speed, it's best to throw the ball over the top and allow them to basically outrun the defender, which he was doing anyway, and catch that touchdown. But when it come down to it, the Chicago Bears did indeed win this game. Now, there's only thing to be happy about is that they did win the game today. They did in their losing streak, and once again, the Detroit Lions just continues to lose on Thanksgiving. So hopefully, the Bears can continue to win that and just keep that up every year. I would just wish the Bears could play the Lions all goddamn 16 games, because then it is what it is, man. It would be 16-0. Bears win. My prediction was 17-14. The score ended up being 16-14. Bears win the game. Yeah, that was pretty goddamn close. You did call it the Boston Sports Report. You did call it down the middle. I said at most it'd be 2017 game. Even KO Sports Talk, he said it would be something like a 16-12, 16-14 game. and he was definitely on point as well. We deserve this win. Fuck Don Bird. All the shit, their shitty fans. I know that's right, Judah, man. Fuck Don Bird. Fuck the Detroit Lions. You know, me and KO had spoke about it briefly. Even sadly, even he a part of him was saying that Detroit Lions have a strong chance to win. He wouldn't be surprised if they won. I wouldn't be surprised either, just based on the way the things planned out. But I did also pick the Bears to win the game. And Andy Dalton looked it pretty damn good out there, throwing for over 300 yards. The first half, he had 218 yards. So that lets me know right there how incompetent the play calling was for him to have 218 yards, one touchdown in the first half, and still only end up with 300 yards. He should have had something more to repeat that, and possibly threw over 400 yards. But you can't be too, I would say the best word to describe it, too happy or too upset with what happened, because the Bears do have a hard time finding points, and they topped out at their season average 16. That's what the Bears is going to give us this year. So we don't expect the defense to be able to do this all year round, because they haven't been able to do it. But I will say this much: Artie Burns, other than giving up that first half touchdown, he did play hell of a lot better than Kendall Vildor. I don't even think I even saw a Duke Shelley out there other than special teams. So I just want to say this much: what the hell took so goddamn long to put Artie Burns at the starting cornerback position and have somebody replace Duke Shelley at the nickelback position? The Bears could have won the last two games if those guys was not starting the last two games, and this could have been their third consecutive win instead of having, their first win after a month in a week, basically. At least Dalton hit our receivers exactly the rapid 10,000. At least Dalton was able to see the field and hit the receivers. I know some people are gonna be like, yeah, Andy Dalton did that, but Justin Fields is still better. Overall, he is better, but certain intangibles that Andy Dalton do bring to the table is the reason why the Bears won this game. Because I don't know if Justin Fields would have been starting if the Bears would have won this game, especially based on the confidence level that he has displayed over the past few weeks, and basically him being up and down all the time. The past 2 weeks he played pretty well, and then the last game, of course, he didn't play well at all. He looked at putrid, other than that first drive against the Baltimore Ravens. And Andy Dalton had to come in and basically save our ass, but the defense wasn't able to make the necessary plays last week, but they was able to at least do that this week. Matt Nagy did not use our timeouts wisely like before. The game clock went down before the field goal. Yeah, it did. That's the reason why he called a timeout. To me, overall, the clock management in this specific game was, for the most part, used correctly. They was trying to kill as much time off the clock as possible. Now, Matt Nagy called that timeout because I had to explain it to guys like YTC, Giants Nation, all the above, that the only reason why he called that timeout at that time is because just in case they decide to go for the juggler and go for a touchdown, he wanted to make sure that they still was within range to be able to do that if there was that type of option. But as a course, they was able to run the clock out and kick the game-winning field goal. I told you, Bear fans overreact to shove Fields in the lineup. Yeah, that is true. We did have a conversation that they did try to force Justin Fields in, and right after Andy Dalton got hurt, because he was performing fairly well against the Cincinnati Bengals. And every game after that, Justin Fields been up and down. He showed promise 1 week, and then after that, he'll fall to the next week. So we do need a lot more consistency from him. But I believe that's probably just going to happen next season. It's not going to happen this year. We're under a new regime, new offensive coordinator, new play callers, new head coach. So we just have to see exactly how it's going to go from here on out throughout the season, to see if the Bears can at least muster up a few more wins, so then this season doesn't look absolutely putrid as it had looked over the past 5 weeks before this victory. And the Rapper 10,000 says to the Ghost of Judah tribe, I keep telling them to keep Trubisky, draft Justin Fields, and rebuild the O-line. Maybe and maybe see about another wide receiver. Yeah, true, man. The Rapper 10,000 has been saying that throughout the entire offseason. We've been chatting about that all season long about what they should have done, but sadly, the truth is they didn't do it, and that's the reason why. That's one of the main reasons why the Bears is 4-7. But I'm gonna at least be happy for the win. If the Bears would have lost to the Lions, the type of headache I probably would have had would have been this astronomical, man. I'm like, I probably would have been sitting here the whole time like this with my head throbbing, just looking at the Bears literally lose this goddamn game. But I am happy that they did get the victory at least. I see more big plays with Dalton. Fields has all the talent and potential in the world, but and is savvy. Oh yeah, please keep Artie Burns in there. Of course, man, it is what it is. I guess Mitch. I guess Mitch too inconsistent. You could say that, Judah, but his inconsistency still led to wins. They was like 26-13 with his inconsistency, and then literally without him, since Trubisky been gone, what's the record? They won what, 6 total games with him being gone, and like maybe 14, 15 losses overall. That's from the time he was there and got injured, and now that he's gone completely. So that can let you know right there, Judah. He can be inconsistent, all you can say, but literally it translated to win. So yeah. What's going on, TRL? How you feeling? Congrats on the win. See y'all next week. Yeah, that's definitely gonna be a tough matchup for the Chicago Bears. But if Andy Dalton is indeed starting, which I don't know if they will make him the starter or not, just based on this performance right here can push him to continue to be the starter for the rest of the season out and probably sit Justin Fields like I had clarified many times before. And if he is able to come in and the Bears able to sneak off a few more wins, then yeah, Andy Dalton might be your starter for the rest of the season, especially based on this performance. The simple fact that the Bears haven't had a 300-yard passer since week 9 of last year, and that was Nick Foles. So that lets you know how incompetent the passing game has been, even though last year Mitchell Trubisky on average was passed for 252 yards. A few guys had 275, 290, but failure to throw for 300 yards in today's NFL, the way everything is set up, is very incompetent, not only by the players and the execution of the players, but also the game planning and the play calling by the offensive coordinator and the head coach. But like I said, I expected the Bears to possibly put up 13 consecutive points just like they did in the first half, but it was more about trying to survive and not trying to basically seal the victory for the Chicago Bears. That's basically what the second half game plan was, fighting Matt Nagy. We're not going to do too much. We're going to run the football, try to run the clock out, and try to contain the Detroit Lions offense as much as possible. And if it comes down to it, try to kick either a last-second field goal or get a last-second touchdown. And that's basically how it played out in the second half for the Bears. I think that Justin Fields needs glasses to see the whole field. I think that he doesn't have the vision of how the pilot would see the whole area. It just comes down to him being a rookie, and some rookies, when they come into the league, they already got the vision. They already NFL ready, much like Deshaun Watson was when he came into the league. But sometimes, you got guys that's not all the way ready. Peyton Manning is a Hall of Fame quarterback. I'm not saying Justin Fields is going to be Peyton Manning, but his rookie year, he threw like 28 interceptions. He couldn't see the field worth shit. But as the season went on, because he played all 16 games, he still wound up throwing like 26 touchdowns. But once again, he did throw 28 interceptions. So it could be far worse. And that team went 3-13 that year. And then the following year, once he was able to get it together, got a few more players added to it, they flipped their record to 13-3. So that could be a possibility. The same thing that happened with Chicago Bears. They probably end up finishing with 6, 7, maybe 8 wins, and then flip the season. They might wind up winning anywhere between 9 to 11 wins. So it could turn out to that the following season. Let's see. The Rapper 10,000 at the Ghost of Judah Tribe. look back at his games because Trubisky was able to hit A-Rob in tight situations. Always. A-Rob was his favorite target, and he always made sure to get A-Rob the goddamn ball. That's the difference between Mitchell Trubisky and Justin Fields. You know, literally, I've stated it many times before that A-Rob used to stay back in practice and practice with Trubisky. That's how they developed their chemistry. A-Rob didn't do that with Justin Fields or possibly Andy Dalton because both of them still is trying to find Darnell Mooney at all times. And I'm not saying that Darnell Mooney is a bad option, but that's when players stay behind and they work with you and work on route concepts and everything else, you get comfortable with that specific receiver. And that's the reason why Darnell Mooney is getting all the balls thrown his goddamn way. But what I did like as well is that the Bears was able to do much like they did late last season and give out a lethal dose of giving the ball to everybody. When you spread the ball to everybody, when you don't really have a big time receiver, it makes it harder for the defense to be able to key in on your offense when you pass the football. Literally because they don't know who to guard because if you hitting the ball, if you're throwing the football to anywhere between the number 1 to the number 5 receivers, throwing the ball to all 3 tight ends and hitting your running backs, it's very hard to be able to stop you. That's the difference was the Bears were stopping their goddamn self because they stopped throwing the football in the second half. They started trying to be more conservative in the second half and run the football a lot more, which is understandable because majority of the time they had the lead all the way until they gave it up late in the third quarter. Well, I say the second or third drive in the third quarter by the Lions. But going forward, basically, the Bears is going to have to be more aggressive in the second half. If they're able to put up 13 points in that first half, you have to be able to try to put up 13 points or more in the second half and make sure you blow out the teams that you should be beating and destroying overall. But like I said before, I'm still happy that the Bears got the victory. If Andy Dalton started the last 3 games, you will be 3-0. Strong possibility with that. I mean, I can't even deny that they possibly would have been 3-0 and would be back over 500, if not at 500 at best. You know, that's exactly what it could have been. But like I said before, it was the McCaskies that put Justin Fields in. It wasn't Matt Nagy's decision. That decision was forced upon him. I already looked at a small report on it. The McCaskey said put in Justin Fields, and they're the reason why he started majority of the season because of course Matt Nagy plan was to have Andy Dalton start majority of the season. And if the season didn't pan out correctly, then eventually put in Justin Fields after he learned enough from the game on the sideline, taking notes and all the above, and come in when the season is a wash. If it was a wash, if Andy Dalton played every game, and then come in and play a few games here and there, and then just get a stat line up, and then come in throughout the next season, and then play the full season after that. But of course, if things did not go to plan for anybody, and of course the Bears is 4-7 instead of possibly 7-4, what they possibly could have been with Andy Dalton. Man, he just wasn't it for a number 2 overall. Yeah, well, we can admit that Mitchell Trubisky wasn't meant to be a number 2 overall pick, but Judah, me and you already had this conversation before. He was, but by ESPN, Pro Football Focus, all the above, they all projected him to be the best quarterback out of the draft over Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. And literally they had Patrick Mahomes being a distant third. They said he was like a 3rd round pick at best, maybe a 5th round pick. So that lets you know already the experts didn't know what the hell they was talking about, because if they did know what they was talking about, in a perfect world, Trubisky still falls to number 3 to Chicago, and Patrick Mahomes is picked up at number 1, and Deshaun Watson goes number 2. So it is what it is on that one, man. In a perfect world, Patrick Mahomes don't even play for the Chiefs. He's playing for whoever the hell was the number 1 pick in that 2017 draft. And diehard Bear fans refuse to see that. Yeah, it is what it is, though. But at least the Bears got the win, and no longer has five straight losses. So let's see if the Bears can get some more wins and don't have another 5-game losing streak. Andy Dalton QB1 should have stuck with the plan. Yeah, they should have stuck with the plan, but like I said before, it went over his head. It went over his head and Ryan Pace's head. It was the McCaskies that told him literally, you're going to put Justin Fields in, have him play. Because they felt confident and everyone else felt confident that he would be able to come in and translate to wins, which he did translate to a few wins, but it just wasn't enough. We don't care about no midget TRL talking about Kyler Murray. Let's just hope that midget don't fuck around and light the Bears up. Ever since he's been back from the injury, he hasn't been as consistent as need be. So hopefully the Bears will be trending up at the right time where the Cardinals is basically going up and down right now. At this point of the season, the Bears can try to take advantage of that and possibly steal a win against Arizona. The Bears might need to sign a player from the Cards to their offense. So if they do need to sign a player from the Cards to their offense, what would be the player that you think will be more suited for the Bears offense? Because that person can be a absolute beast for the Cardinals in their offensive system, but shows up to Chicago and the system do not fit him at all, and he turns out to be a bust only in Chicago. So you have to make sure you think long and hard which would be the correct player that will be better suited for the Chicago Bears football team going into the next season. Gonna have to. You said you're gonna have to do a stream this week. My channel got a strike yesterday. Who the fuck put a strike on your channel? It's some asshole. You ain't got to tell me, Jude. I already know it's some type of asshole that's doing that. Goes, Andy Dalton's not that good. Please stop. Andy Dalton isn't the best quarterback, but with this offense, the way it's being ran, he probably would have been the best quarterback for that situation over the past 3 weeks. I'm not saying that he's better than Justin Fields overall, but the intangibles that he brings to the game as of right now that at this point Justin Fields lacks in his career because it's only his first year, and we know he's going to get better and be a lot better than Andy Dalton. That's why Andy Dalton should be the starter, and that's why the Ghost of Judah Tribe is saying that KO Sports Talk. At this point in his career, his intangibles is better. Yeah, he still have problems at post-snap reads. His pre-snap reads, though, is a lot better than Justin Fields. He's able to make the right adjustments at the line and protection corrections at the right time. That's the reason why they wasn't able to get to him on a consistent basis, even though James Daniels did allow a lot of pressure up the middle that one time that led to that one sack. But he did make the right corrections on the offensive line to make sure that protection is always in the right place so that he can be able to go out there and make certain plays like he did with David Montgomery a few times, and also able to hit Cole Kmet, Jimmy Graham getting that touchdown, and all of the above. That's what he's saying, basically. So he's better than Dalton right now. No, he's not, because he lacks those intangibles. He lacks the intangibles to get the team far as they need to be as of right now. Now, a year or two from now, maybe 3-4 years down the line, we're going to be saying something totally different. As I hope we'll be saying something totally different. But as of right now, Andy Dalton does have certain intangibles that is better than Justin Fields. And one of the main things and one of the most important things that he has over Justin Fields right now is the simple fact that he can see the field a lot faster and get that ball out a lot faster and not hold on to the ball. Now, it's been many times that we already seen Justin Fields hold the ball too long, and that's what led to all those strip fumbles and also throwing interceptions at the worst possible time. We only scored 16 points on offense, and we almost lost. Absolutely. Absolutely. I was just saying earlier, KO, that the scoreboard that you predicted was almost identical. You said 16-12, 16-14 game, and that's what it turned out to end up being. I already had mentioned it before. The Bears was just trying to run the clock out in the second half. They really wasn't trying to score a lot of points in the second half. All it was basically trying to survive and limit that motherfucking Detroit Lions offense more on a consistent basis, because as you saw, they was driving down the field on the Bears. It's just that once they got in between that 35 to 20 yard line, They couldn't really do much. The Bears were able to get stops. They was able to push them back by getting sacks and stopping the run at the most cognate times needed possible. And that's what led to the Bears getting the ball back and eventually running that clock down to 1 second and kicking the field goal to win the game. I mean, he is better in Fields right now. Yeah, I agree. But he won't be better than him if he gets the right coaching next season and get another year under his belt to be able to process the NFL game a little bit more. Fields just worried about getting roughing calls. Sick and tired of looking at it. Yeah, about to say I have to possibly review the tape a little bit more to see if how true that is. We definitely scoring more than 16 points. It's just Andy Dalton is tailored more to Matt Nagy's offense than he would be able to throw over 300 yards. Yeah, matter of fact, I wouldn't even say that Andy Dalton is more tailored to the offense. It's just a simple fact that because he is a veteran and he's been in the league so long and he's played in so many different type of offenses. Matt Nagy is nothing more. His offense is nothing more than a West Coast offense, but just he passes the ball even more than a typical West Coast offense does even now. Now with Andy Dalton, of course, like I said before, he threw for 218 yards in the first half, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, off 16 to 26 passing. He should have definitely threw for over 400 yards in this game. But like I said before, the game plan wasn't to do that in the second half. The second half was to run the football with David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert, run the clock out, try to contain that Lions offense, make sure they don't stay on the field long enough to be able to put up more points than the Bears. And they did allow that 1 touchdown, but they did that in the first half as well. And all they had to do is just make sure they don't kick another field goal. They keep the game as close as possible. So then the safest route to go is to kick the field goal at the end, and that's exactly what happened. That's exactly how the Bears was able to get that win. Kill Sports Talk. I'd rather have Trubisky as a starter and let Fields learn. Dalton is a veteran who was good 5 years ago. Matter of fact, you go back further than that, maybe 6, 7 years ago. That's the last time he was actually competent before he just started falling off completely. Me too, Rapid 10,000. Could have Kyle Fuller. We could have kept Kyle Fuller as well. Yeah, we could have, man. It was just once you signed Dalton, once you signed Jermaine Ifedi, who once again is injured and can't finish a whole entire season. That's what happens when you have to get rid of other players that is a lot more important to the grand scheme of things in the future. I know our ground game is better than this. Yeah, it is a lot better than this. You know, the Bears just ranked 6th in the NFL for a reason. But like I said before, the Detroit Lions match up well with a lot of teams. Their front seven is decent enough to match up with a lot of teams, just that their cornerbacks and safeties is absolutely terrible. You know, because remember, they was able to contain the run with the Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson actually starting. It's just that they don't have the horsepower to be able to basically to seal the games, and that's the reason why they are now 0-10-1, because they don't have the horsepower to be able to seal the games, and they don't have enough competent offensive players on offense to be able to make the necessary plays to continue to build the score up, so that once the defense make those stops, they can be able to walk away with an easy win. They so far at 1-score games now, the Detroit Lions is 0-5 and with 1 tie. Literally, the Lions could have beat the Bears the first time around. This time around, the Steelers, the 49ers, and Pittsburgh, basically. I mean, not Pittsburgh, but Baltimore. They could have beat those teams. They could have had about 6, 7 victories this year if their defense was able to actually stop somebody, because their offense was able to put up enough points to keep them, to put them in the lead. But because their defense, like I said before, their front seven is pretty decent. They're not the best, but they're pretty decent. But because they have terrible corners and incompetent safeties, that's the reason why teams are just able to drive down the field at any given time, anytime they need to score, and they score. Trubisky can hold that clipboard. There was a reason there was no takers for his ass. That's the only reason for that, is because everyone already had their starting quarterback. That's the only reason. He's still competent. Listen, Judy, you can say all you want about Trubisky, but that 26-13 record under Matt Nagy as a starter still holds up. And with Trubisky not being here, the Bears lost what? Uh, Multiple games in 2018 when he wasn't there. They lost multiple games 2019 when he wasn't there when he got injured, and they lost multiple games in 2020 when he wasn't the starter. And guess what? Him not being here again, they still lost multiple games. I believe they like only like 6 or 7 wins and like 15 losses when he's not there. But they're 20-13, 26-13, and with him as a starter. There you go. That put everything to rest right there when you put it in that perspective. Sean Watson goes to the Bears in a perfect world. Now, in a perfect world, the Bears possibly get Patrick Mahomes in a perfect world, but we still don't know how that would have turned out because Matt Nagy is the head coach. Ain't no telling what Patrick Mahomes would have been if he was drafted by the Bears or Deshaun Watson. They careers probably would have been in a negative because of that. But we don't know. And all we can do is just talk about it and see what would have happened, woulda, coulda, shoulda, what they should have did, what they could have did, all of the above. But what did happen is the Bears was able to win 16-14, and I'm just happy about that. Just happy that the fact that they was able to do something right, at least for one half, and at least did something in the last 5, 6, 7 minutes of the game to make sure that they came out with a victory in that losing streak. So that's the only thing I can say about that. But luckily, man, it was a win. It wasn't a loss because KO Sports Talk and everybody else just waiting on me to get ready to go off. They know I was finna go off if the Bears would have lost this game. So luckily they did, and I actually have a smile on my face. It's not me being pissed off all the goddamn time looking at the Bears just constantly blow games every goddamn week. So I'm gonna get ready to end it right here. If anybody else have anything to say, just make sure to comment down below, and I will read your comments and interact with you. If not, gonna be basically ending the stream within the next couple of minutes. But before I do, just remember to once again like and subscribe to the channel. And also make sure to hit that notification bell and hit all on there so that you can get all the content from me, John Fibby, talking about the Chicago Bears and also talking about fight updates because I do fight December 18th in Gary, Indiana. So just make sure to view that for all updates on Chicago Bears and boxing updates as well. And if you are a returning subscriber, just make sure to hit that like button and also share the video. Just keep the channel growing. I did have 2 more additional subscribers during the halftime show. Just want to thank you for tuning in and also subscribing to the channel. And also, man, I just want to give a shout out to KO Sports Talk, TRL, the Ghost of Judah Tribe, everybody just tuned in to the show during the halftime show and also the post-game show as well. The rapper 10,000, always going strong. He always in the streams. I appreciate it. Appreciate you being in the streams, my brother. So, and everybody else that also tunes in every single week. And I will be doing another sports hangout next week, next Wednesday. So just make sure to tune in to that at 8:30, and also make sure to tune in to the main event podcast that will be returning on Fridays, next Friday. So I will be back on that with KO Sports Talk, Kofi O'Hemi. So just make sure to tune in to that as well, and also make sure to like and subscribe to everyone's channel that I did mention. But once again, this is John Pippany once again bringing it back to you with another sports reaction, talking about the Chicago Bears defeating the Detroit Lions in this Week 12 matchup on Thanksgiving, a special edition. So I did appreciate the fact that they did win this game today. And I'm just happy that another win. So once again, man, bringing it back to you. Peace out, man.